Hello, class 11th student. Today I'm going to start chapter 11 from your book Microeconomics. Topic is theory of supply and this is part 1. In this chapter we are going to cover these topics. First is what do you mean by supply? Second is what do you mean by supply schedule? Within that we are going to learn about individual supply schedule and market supply schedule. After that, we are going to discuss about the supply curve. Within that also, market supply curve and individual supply curve. And then slope of supply curve. After that, we are going to discuss about the determinants that decide the supply. Okay, yani ki we are going to discuss about the supply function. And after that, law of supply, and ultimately we are going to learn about movement along a supply curve and shift in supply curve. And then there is the last topic, that is price elasticity of supply. Within that we are going to understand about the meaning and measurement. In today's video we are going to discuss about these topic. Okay, how much topic we are going to cover in this video? Concept of supply, supply schedule, supply curve and its slope, and supply function. Okay, so first of all, what do you mean by supply? So supply is nothing, it is a quantity that a seller or buyer is ready to sell at a particular price. Okay, so what is written here? Supply refers to quantity of a commodity which a producer or seller of a firm is willing to sell in the market at a particular price during a period of time. Okay, now, so this is the meaning of supply, and what uh, important point come from this definition. First, quantity of a commodity. The supply is related to particular commodity. Second thing, ki buyer, seller or firm is going to sell, are ready to sell when he the firm is knowing the price, and it is always measured at a period of time. The period of time is related to flow, so it is a flow concept. Okay, now here is given a firm PQR, this is the name of a firm. It is willing to sell 400 kg sugar at the price 40 rupees. So what this in a month, yani this is what, this is the supply. Okay, because all the essential thing we are finding a particular commodity. What is the commodity? That is sugar. Price, so price is 40. How much quantity? 400 kg. So this commodity, if price is 40, it is going to sell 400 kg of sugar in a month. Okay, so this is what, this is the supply. In very very simple language, if suppose there is a firm A. Okay, if price is 40, so it is going to ready to sell. Okay, 400 kg. But if price is 60 rupees, so they are ready to sell 600 kg. So this is what, this is the supply. Supply, how much a firm is ready to sell, it depends upon the price. If price is high, they are going to sell more, they are going to release more amount from their stock. If price is low, they are going to sell, yeah, they are going to release less amount. Why? Because of the seller's aim is to maximize the profit, and if price is high, so margin is going to be more, and that is why when there is more price, more seller comes and they sell the product. Okay, now there is the term supply and stock. We are going to discuss the difference. Sometimes, yeah, common person people use these two words in place of each other, but in reality these two words are not we can't interchange these two words. Why? Because these two words are totally different to each other. So let us start it. Supply is what already we had discussed. It is related to a particular commodity that a buyer is ready to sell at a particular price in a given period of time. Okay, on the other hand, stock is related to total quantity. Okay, it is related to total quantity that is available with the producer. Okay, now supply is a flow concept. Why? Because we measure it period of time. On the other hand, stock is a stock concept. Why? Because we measure it at a point of time. We measure it a point of time. Now, Supply is related to price of a commodity. On the other hand, stock is not related to price of a commodity. Okay, in very very simple language, suppose take the example of rice. In this duration there will be the cultivation of the rice. So whatever amount cultivated in this period, that is the production of the rice is stock. Okay, on the other hand, how much buyers or seller or producer are ready to sell at a particular price, that is a stock. Sorry, supply. Stock is what? It is total amount that a buyer, seller or firm keep in their godown. Okay, on the other hand, supply is that amount that they release in the market, they are ready to sell in the market. So in this way, stock is a broader, yeah, wider concept. Supply is a narrow concept. Supply is the part of the stock. Okay, so stock is not going to depend upon the price. Okay, it depend upon many natural thing. How much will be the production of the wheat or rice or pulses or fruits or vegetable, it is not going to depend upon the price. It depend upon to natural things. Okay, and according to the production you are going to keep your stock, yeah, you are going to maintain your godan. Okay, you are going to keep the amount. On the other hand, supply depend upon the price. If price is high, you are going to sell more amount from your inventory stock. Okay, if price is less, so you are going to sell less amount. Okay, now next concept is, what do you mean by supply and quantity supplied? Okay, so again, these two terms are totally different. Supply. If we talk about the supply, if we talk about the quantity supplied refers to a specific quantity that a buyer ready to sell at a specific price. A specific means what? A specific is related to one price level and amount on it. Amount on it. Okay, on the other hand, supply is referred to various quantity and different possible price. Okay, so I'm going to explain it here. Suppose there is a commodity X and here it is price. If I write 5, price is 5 rupees per unit, the seller Ram is going to sell 10x. So this is what? This is quantity supplied. This is what? This is quantity quantity supplied. Why? Because here we are going to discuss one price and level of quantity on it. Okay, so I think you are able to understand. Quantity supplied is related to a particular price, and that particular price, how much seller is ready, how much amount of a good seller is ready to sell. If we talk about the supply, now we are going to discuss about the supply. So supply is what? It is related to various, supply is related to various price and quantity and quantity. Like if price of x is 5, so it is selling how much quantity? 10x. If price is 6, so it is ready to sell 15x. If price is 7, so it is ready to sell 20x. Now there are different price level, and at this different price level there is given what amount a seller is ready, this ram seller is ready to sell. So this is what? This is supply, and this is what? This is quantity supplied. So if we take any particular price like 6 or 5 or 7, so it become supply. Okay, student, quantity supplied. Now next topic is supply schedule. What is supply schedule? Schedule means table. Schedule means what? Schedule means table. Schedule is related to what? It is related to table. So that is given here. It is a table showing various quantity of a commodity offered for the sell at a different possible price of that commodity. Okay, it is of two type, individual and market. Individual is related to one seller. Okay, and market is related to all seller of a good in a market. Okay, so this is the basic difference between the individual supply schedule and the market supply schedule. First of all, supply schedule is related to what? It is related to table. Like if I write price of X, here I write quantity of X, price is 5, 25 sell. If price is 6, so 30 we sell. So this is what? This is your supply schedule. Okay, when we are going to represent tabular relation, we are going to represent relationship between price of a commodity and quantity of a commodity in the format of table. So this is known as a supply schedule. Okay, and it is of two type, individual and market. Individual is related to only one seller. On the other hand, market is related to all seller of a good. Okay, so, what is individual supply schedule? Individual supply schedule refers to supply schedule of an individual producer in the market. Individual means one. It is related to supply of one producer or seller. Okay, it shows different quantity which a firm is willing to sell at a different possible price of a commodity. Okay, student. Okay, look at here. I had written uh, individual is related to one seller. Okay, so that is in simple language. Now here you can see this table 1, price is 5. There is no that particular seller is not ready to sell any amount. Why? Because this price is too low. Okay, if 10, so he is ready to sell 10x. If 15, so he is ready to sell 20, and if price is 20, he is ready to sell 30. So this this table, that is about the price of a good and how much quantity a particular seller is ready to sell, that is given. This is known as an individual supply schedule. Okay, we find positive relation between price of a commodity and supply of a commodity. Okay, students, now I'm going to explain it in my own way. Suppose Ram, if price of X is 5, Ram is ready to sell 25x. Okay, if price is 10, he is ready to sell 30x. So this is what? This is individual supply schedule. Okay, so individual supply schedule is related to one seller. Okay, supply of one seller. Okay, now come to the market supply schedule. Market supply schedule refers to supply schedule of all the firms producer in the market producing a particular commodity. Okay, so it is related to what? It is related to all the firms are producer that are producing a particular commodity. Sum total of all the firm producing a particular commodity is called industry. Thus, market supply schedule refers to schedule of industry as a whole. So it is related to supply of a industry. Here is given, suppose there is a good X, there are only two firm A and firm B. So at price 5, firm A is selling 0 and firm B is also selling 0. So in this way, the supply of X good is what? 0. If price increases, it become 10. So A firm is ready to sell to produce 10. On the other hand, quantity B is ready to 5. In this way, market supply is what? 15. Okay, now 15. So 20x firm A is producing or selling, 10 firm B. So in this way, what will be the market? 30. We are going to add 10 plus 20 plus 10. If price is 20, so firm A is ready to produce and sell 30x. Firm B is ready to produce and sell 50x. In this way, we know we had considered there are only two sellers, yeah, two producers. So in this way, at the price of 20, how much will be amount? The market supply will be 45 by adding these two. Okay. So in simply, market supply schedule is related to all sellers, okay, of a particular good. Okay, if there are three seller X, Y, Z, okay, and this is the price 1, 2, 3. At this price, X is ready to sell 5, Y is ready to sell 4, and Z is ready to 2. And when price increases become 2, so it is ready to sell 6, it is ready to sell 3, sorry, um, okay, it is ready to sell 5 and it is ready to sell 3. At price more increases, it become 3. So X is ready to sell 10, it is ready to sell 8, it is ready to sell 2. Now we are going to calculate market supply. Okay, so we are going to add 5 plus 4, 9, 9, 11. So at 1 rupee price, there will be 11. Supply, market supply will be 11 by all these 3, 4. At 2 rupees price, what will be the market supply? So 6 plus 5, 11, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there will be total 14. Supply will be total 14. Now at the price 3, if price increases more, it become 3. The total supply will be 10 plus 8, 18 plus 2, 20. So you can see this is what, this is your market supply schedule. How we find out it? By adding whatever supplier are supply. It is the sum total of all individual supply schedule. Okay. Now, next topic is supply curve and its slope. So supply curve. Supply curve is a graphic. देखो, curve is always related to diagrammatic and graphic representation. So it is a graphical representation of what? Supply schedule. So remember this line only. Okay, supply curve is a graphical presentation of supply schedule. Okay, and we know schedule represent what? Schedule represent various quantity of a commodity that is offered for the sell at different possible price of that commodity. And which type of relation we find? We find positive relation. Okay, student. Now, supply curve is also of two type, individual and market. Same sense is also here. It is related to one seller and it is related to all sellers. Okay, student. So individual supply is what? It is graphical representation of individual supply schedule. Market supply curve is a graphical representation of market supply schedule. Okay. So here is given individual supply curve is a graphic presentation of supply schedule of an individual firm in the market. So if we are going to represent that table 1 that we had discussed in a diagram format, so we find individual supply curve. When price is 5, there is no supply. When price is 10, 10 supply. When price is 15, so 15 supply. Sorry, 20 supply. And when price is 20, there is 30 supply. So this is what? This is your individual supply. You can see it is moving upward. Yani there is a positive relation between price of X and quantity of X. Okay. Now, so in very simple language, how you can draw the supply schedule? What is supply schedule? Supply curve. The supply curve is a graphical representation of supply individual. It is individual supply schedule. So individual supply schedule is a wait. Okay. Individual supply schedule is a graphical representation of इंडिविजुअल सप्लाई शेड्यूल। ओके, ये इसका क्या है, ग्राफिकल रिप्रेजेंटेशन है. So when we are going to plot, so we are going to get a upward sloping line. It state that the price of x and supply of x both are related positively. यानी कि if price is going to be high, तो there will be more supply. If price is going to be low, then supply of that commodity is going to be low. So we find which type of relation? We find positive relation. Okay, so this is your, here we are going to plot commodity x, and here we are going to plot price of x. Okay, this is y axis and this is o axis. So if price is p, the supply is q. If price increases, supply also increases. Okay, student? Now come to the next topic, market supply curve. So now market supply curve is what? It is a graphical representation of market supply schedule. Okay, so here we are going to consider there are three firm A, B and C. There are two A and B. We are going to add these two, so we are going to get the market supply schedule. So that is the representation of figure 2 is based upon the table 2. Okay, when we are going to add and we are going to represent it graphically, we get what? We get market supply curve. Okay, student? So market supply curve is a horizontal summation of individual supply curve. Okay, so market supply curve is related to supply of industry. Okay, and whenever you are going to draw, it is going to be flatter. Why? Because it is sum total of supply of all the firm, and it is also going to represent positive relation. Okay, we find which type of relation? Positive relation. More price, more supply, more supply of x good. Okay, student? Now come to the next topic, that is slope of supply curve. What is slope of supply curve? So देखो, slope is related to what? It is related to कि if they were whatever variable you are going to represent on OY axis, if they were any change take place, if there were any change take place, so what will be impact on the variable that we are going to represent on o axis. Okay, so this is known as a slope. So on oy axis we are representing price, and o axis we are representing quantity of x. There is which type of relation? We find positive relation. If price of x increases, in return we find supply of quantity x is also increases. If price of x reduce, in result supply of quantity x is also going to reduce. So we find which type of relation? Positive. Okay, so price of x upon quantity of x, this is the slope of supply curve. Here you can see कि del p upon del q, del p upon del q is the slope of supply curve, and it is going to be a straight upwards line. Why? Because we find positive relation. Okay, now come to the next and the last topic, that is supply function. What is supply function? The supply function is a functional relationship between supply of a commodity and various determinants. So this is the meaning of this line. What it explain? It explain that ki how many factors that going to affect the supply of a commodity. Okay, so there are these factor that is going to affect the supply of any commodity. First is what? Price of x good, price of related good, number of the firm, okay, goal of the firm, price of factors, state of technology, expected change, yeah, business expectation, and government policy. So we are going to understand one by one all these. So first I'm going to start with the relation between price of x and supply of x. So supply of x is the function of price of x. We find positive relation. Yani if supply of x function means is depend upon price of x, and how it is depend positively. If price of x is going to be high, in return supply of x is going to be, sorry, it is going to be high. Okay student, if price of x is going to be low, in return supply of x is going to be low. So this is the relation that we find between price of x and supply of x. Okay, so here you can see that there is a direct relation between price of a commodity and its quantity that is given. Now next is price of related good. Which type of relation we find? We find that price of related good and supply of another good is related negatively. How? You can see here. If there are two goods, tea and coffee, and we can produce any of them. If suppose I'm producing tea, okay, on my plot. In market, if price of coffee started to increase, so in next term I'm going to produce coffee in place of tea. So that relation we find. Okay. Now next is number of the firm in the industry. So number of the firm, how it is going to, so wait. Okay. So supply of x is the function of number of firm. So there we find positive relation. If number of firm is going to be more, so in return supply of x good is going to be more. Like you can take the example of Android set. If you go to the 7 to 8 year back, to Android sets are too expensive, but day by day as there are more firms in this field, so we get to like mi, so because of that we get Android set at less price. Otherwise if you go to the 9 to 10 years, so there are only 2 or 3 brand like Motorola and Apple, so these are very expensive. Okay, so whenever the price when number of firm is going to be more, supply is going to be more. Okay, so we find positive relation. Now come to the next goal of the firm. So goal, there are two type of goal of the firm: profit maximization and sell maximization. If the firm goal is profit maximization, so they are going to keep the price high, and supply is going to be less, so they are going to less supply. If their aim is to maximize sell, so at low price they are going to supply more. So that is the relation. Okay, uh, यानी कि if there are two things, if profit maximization, sorry, okay, if profit maximization, so in this case price they are going to keep high, and at high price they are going to less supply, keep the less supply. For example, Apple phone. Okay, their aim is what? Profit maximization by keeping the high price. So they have to maintain the brand image, they have to give very high quality. Okay, like AC coach, AC. Okay, on the other hand you can take the example of Parker pen. Okay, now sell maximization. So in this condition, if firm is having sell maximization, so in this case they are going to keep the price low, and they are going to more supply more. Okay, more supply. Okay student, like you can take the example of mi set. They are going to, their aim is to make profit by selling more and more unit of phone, so they are going to keep the price less. Okay, now next is price of factor of production. The price of factor of production, if I'm going to explain it, sorry, if I'm going to explain it, price of factor of production. So supply supply of X good is the function of price of factors. So there is a negative relation. If price of factor is going to be high, the firm are going to produce less good and there will be less supply. Why? Because production becomes expensive. Okay. Okay, now next, if price of factor is going to be low, then supply is going to be high. Okay, why? Because production becomes less expensive. Okay, student, so that is. Okay, next is state of technology. So if you are going to use improved technology, the supply cost is going to be less and supply will be more. यानी कि if improved technology, यानी कि cost is going to be low and in return supply will be high. Okay, you can take the example, if you are teaching online, so you can teach 1,000 student, but if you are teaching in a classroom, so you can't control more than 50 student. Okay, now next is business expectation. There are two things, bullish expectation and bearish. Bullish means ki in future there will be high demand, like Android set, personal computer, Bluetooth earphone. So they know कि in future the demand of these gadgets is going to be more, so present supply is going to increase, there will be rise in the supply. If firm find that कि in future supply is going demand is going to be low, so this started to less production of it, so there will be less supply. For example, typewriter, so there are less future of typewriter in future. Okay, so that is why less firms are producing it. Okay, day by day. Black and white TV, no firm today, no firm that is going to produce black and white TV. Okay, because everyone know ki this the time is of smart TV. Okay, now next is government policy, taxation and subsidy. If government is going to impose tax, so supply is going to be low. If government is going to provide subsidy, the supply is going to be more. Okay, student, thank you for today.